Military Appreciation Month, we are honoring a few of the many brave veterans of Tuscarawas County. We want to thank the Cavallina team at Raymond James Financial Services in Dover for making these military features possible. Now take a listen to the stories of these courageous veterans who sacrificed so much and how they continue to inspire us. In today's episode, we speak with Marine Corps veteran Jason Thornton.
And I didn't want to go to college, but
Yeah.
I wanted to get away from the area to go to. Yes, I wanted to get away, but I didn't want to necessarily go to college.
Okay. And which branch did you choose?
The Marine Corps.
The Marine Corps. And you said you had family that was also in the Marines?
Yeah.
And that was was he a father?
My grandfather was in the Marines.
Grandfather, okay. And did you have a close relationship with him?
Pretty close, yeah.
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 And
then I had another grandfather that was in the Army, but
okay.
I don't know, I guess the Marine Corps was the right way to go.
What was it like telling your parents that, once I graduate and I got that diploma, I'm out of here?
Well, they had to sign the papers because I was underage. So
Okay.
in order to enlist, you had to be 18 or 17 being ready to graduate. So my parents had to sign the papers. So the recruiter's the one that kind of came over and explained everything to them. So
Soften the blow.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Did they take it well? Were they supportive?
They took it pretty well. I
Okay.
think that they kind of knew that I had always thought about the military, and then just kind of sprung it on them, I guess.
Was it more of a struggle at any point? At any point, like, don't go, please don't go? Because I think back in '93 there wasn't much.
There wasn't going on.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything going on. I think everything was normal until after graduation, and then high school graduation, and then everything kind of starts to sink in that
Yeah.
I'm going to boot camp in a month and a half. Mom realizes that in a month and a half I'm leaving, and then all that starts to sink in. So
Yeah. How was boot camp when
I
you first
enjoyed
got?
it.
You did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I've heard different scenarios coming from other
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah.
What did you like?
I went in very good shape, so running
Okay.
3 miles wasn't an issue for me. Doing pull-ups wasn't an issue for me. I enjoyed shooting guns, so the physical aspect of it was kind of fun. The mental aspect of it, if you just kind of hide and don't get in trouble, the drill instructors really don't mess with you until you start messing up. So.
Right. I had heard from Army veterans who said that the moment they got off the plane, they were being yelled at. Did you have the
Yes.
same experience?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Yes.
And did that scare you?
But you're yelled at in a group of 60 or 80 people,
Right.
so.
It's not like directed at you.
Yeah, unless you're the one to mess up, and
Right.
then it's always directed right at you.
Yeah. Where did you go to boot camp?
Parris Island, South Carolina.
Okay. Is that where everyone goes? Or
For the Marine Corps, it's
Marine
either
Corps.
Parris Island or San Diego, California.
Okay. And how long were you there?
13 weeks.
13 weeks. And you liked it the whole time?
Yes.
And then after boot camp, kind of tell me how that process and where you go and your assignment.
After boot camp, I went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina for Marine combat training, which is basically infantry training, a shorter version of infantry training for, I think that was maybe 6 weeks. And then after that, I went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, just a different part of Camp Lejeune for financial management school.
Oh, okay. Is this something that they assigned you to do, or just like an interest that you had?
It was part of the recruiter deal. When I talked with the recruiter at first, what I wanted to do, when he asked me what I wanted to join the military for, I said I wanted to get out of Janaten, I wanted to play football,
Oh.
and I wanted to do something with finance, like be an accountant or something like that. So my enlistment contract had me doing something financial. So financial management school was where you learned the job skill to do what I did for 20 years.
Okay, wow. So you were a lifetime, do they consider it a lifetime Marine?
No, once a Marine, always a Marine.
Once a Marine, okay, okay. I love that. That's awesome.
They consider me a retired Marine.
A retired Marine, okay. And then after you were at that location, where did you go after that?
From there, while you're at financial management school, they ask you if you want to go East Coast, West Coast, or overseas. Like I said, I left and I wanted to travel, so I chose to go overseas. My first duty station was Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, wow. And what was that all like? What was that whole experience like?
Great. The weather over there is perfect. The drinking age was 18. But you're on an island that's not very large.
Yeah.
and the water is crystal clear. So I went and I got my scuba diving license and spent my off time doing scuba diving. And
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So what was your job while you were in the Marine Corps? The financial?
Yeah, I took care of, or I was either computing payroll or travel claims,
wow, okay.
or just doing anything that dealt with pay and finance.
Did you ever go into combat and see like the front lines of any type of? You did.
Yeah.
And where was that?
I spent a year in Iraq.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay. And what time reference? Like what years?
That was I went in 2007 and came back in 2008. I spent an entire year there.
And what was that experience like?
Well, it's different than financial management stateside because they're or stateside or non-deployed status. You're just making sure people are getting paid on payday and everything like that is getting paid correctly. Once you get deployed, you're paying contracts with Iraqi contractors. You're paying individuals cash so they can Marines and every branch of the service you can pay. They can come and you're almost like a bank teller at that point where they come to the office and take money, and we take it out of their pay later on. But we're also out with combative units doing different payments and stuff like that.
That had to be dangerous, I imagine, at some point.
Walking around with $137,000, sometimes a lot more than that in a backpack, just paying people is a little dangerous.
A little dangerous. I would feel a little uneasy walking around those parts. Were you?
Well, I always had a group of security guys with me.
Okay,
So.
yeah, that's good. Going back to your boot camp days, I had asked a couple other veterans that I've talked to and asked what their favorite memory was from boot camp. A lot of them were talking about like pranks that they would pull on other soldiers or Marines. Did you guys have any memories or camaraderie things that you would do together?
Well, the thing that I remember when like I said, if you just kind of kept to yourself and didn't cause problems, the drill instructors really didn't know you or seek you out. When we were on the rifle range, which was about 3/4 of the way through boot camp, and still drill instructors didn't really know who I was because I was the quiet one in the group.
Smart.
We were cleaning rifles after being on the rifle range all day, and the person sitting beside me actually got his finger stuck in his rifle, and I laughed because it was funny.
Yeah.
And then the drill instructor just thought that I was the one that likes to laugh all the time, and then I became his special person that if he needed to torture somebody, I was the one that he would pull up to torture.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no. Do you still laugh at things?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah. But I don't have to do extra push-ups for
Okay,
it. So.
good. Good. So your first assignment after basic training was at the Okinawa?
Yeah.
It was. And how long were you there?
I was there for a year.
A year. And then after that?
Got to come stateside. I got stationed at Beaufort, South Carolina, which is a Marine Corps air station. So there's F-18s and helicopters and stuff like that. Still doing the finance stuff.
Yeah.
But you have helicopters and jets around that I enjoyed that a lot too.
Out of all of the places that you've been, which one has been your favorite?
Probably Parris Island.
And why is that?
Because I went back to Parris Island later on and worked finance there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like your assignments and your deployment and like you came back stateside, was there a time where you were told to like maybe you could have been done, you could have like left and you just kept going?
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted to do?
Pretty much every 4 years you sign a 4-year contract.
Okay.
So at the end of my first 4 years, I was at Beaufort Air Station at that time, and I re-enlisted and requested to go on recruiting duty.
Oh, okay.
So I got to come back to Ohio and do 3 years of recruiting duties.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Kind of like paying it forward.
Yeah.
That would have been really neat.
Yeah.
Did you ever come back to Indian Valley or this?
No, I
County?
did Guernsey County, Noble County, Coshocton County, Muskingum County. I did in that area. Didn't get Tuscarawas County though.
No. So you said you went to Iraq back in 2007. Was that in the height of when it was the worst?
Yeah.
And can you kind of tell me what the day-to-day life was like for you there?
I had about 8 different individuals underneath me that worked directly for me, and I would get phone calls or emails asking for one of my guys to go out with them on a certain mission. So I just kind of controlled where my 8 guys went on each day. Usually had 2 of them in the office, and then I usually those guys were out on other missions. They would tell me how long the mission was going to be, how much money they needed for the mission, when to expect my Marine back, what unit they were gone, where they were gone to make the payment, and that type of stuff. So I basically kind of made sure that they had the money they needed to go out and make that mission.
When you were there, after you left there, I'm sorry, where did you go after?
When I left, I deployed from Camp Lejeune
Okay.
in 2007. I was attached to Camp Lejeune around 2006. 2007 I deployed, and then I stayed at Camp Lejeune pretty much until I retired.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Whenever you were over there, and if this is gets to be too crazy, I don't want to upset anyone. But when you were over there, anyone that you were with, did anything ever happen to any of your
None of the
comrades?
guys in my unit that I went and that I was in charge of that I had any injuries or anything like that.
That's good. That's got to make you feel a little bit better.
Yes.
Yeah. How was it like communicating with your family back at home?
Well, it was fairly easy. Since I was I was on base.
Yeah.
I had my own phone.
Nice.
I was able to call back.
Yeah. No writing letters and waiting for the
I
letter
had
to
computer
come in.
and
Yeah,
email, so
yeah.
that was a little easier for me.
It's interesting talking to different generations because the older generations had to wait weeks and weeks until
Yeah.
they got a letter from mom or dad or a loved one, a spouse. And when I talk to the younger ones, it's like, no, we just had email, we Skyped, we would, and that's just the technology, I'm sure, has been a huge benefit to the military in multiple ways. What did you do for fun whenever you were off duty?
Deep sea fishing, motorcycles, camping, those types of things.
Do you still talk to the guys that you worked close with?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, kind of transitioning a little bit here, are you married? Did you get married? How did you meet your...
When I left Okinawa and went to Beaufort Air Station,
Okay.
My wife is a Marine Corps brat.
Oh,
So
I love
when I say
that.
Marine Corps brat, her dad was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Her dad spent pretty much the last 6 years of her middle school and high school career in Beaufort, South Carolina. So when
Okay.
they left, she kind of stayed because that was kind of her home area, and that's where I met her at.
Okay. Is she in the military as well? No. Okay.
But she's spent almost
A
her
long time.
almost her entire life in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. So I'm sure it was not hard for her to adjust to you leaving
Yeah.
and coming back.
Yeah.
And,
I think it was a lot easier for her than it is most spouses.
Right. And it's interesting because I had a conversation with a different veteran who found marriage and just having a significant other in general, whenever you're in the military, it's hard for them because the way that they put it was like that spouse needs to adjust to the veteran's life.
Yes.
And the veteran's attitude and just the way of their
and the verbiage, everything, the military uses so many acronyms and to explain things, and for somebody that's not been around it their whole life, like my wife was, to be able to explain that, you have to break it down and
Right.
make it English instead
She
of
knows
military.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you were transitioning back into civilian life after you retired, was that process hard for you, or?
I didn't think that it was going to be hard. I left the military knowing that I was going to be my own boss. I had bought a bar and a drive-through.
Oh, nice.
And we did that for 10 years.
Here locally?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Bombs Away Bar in Tusky.
Oh,
It's
okay.
sold now, so
Yeah,
yeah,
okay,
just
all
sold
right.
it. last, or actually just sold it in January. But I kind of felt like it would be difficult to work for somebody,
Yeah.
being that I had achieved a high rank in the military, and I guess I always had a boss, but I knew I wanted to be my own boss.
Yeah.
So we gave that a try.
And did it work out well?
Yeah, it worked out well.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of work, but
Yeah. But so you didn't really have much of a hard time transitioning from military life to civilian life.
I've been pretty fortunate being in the bar, and still and coming back home. I think is a big
Huge.
a big difference to that too, because now I still have my high school friends that are around, but some of them that had also joined the military. There's a little group of us that kind of know about that had been in the military, and
Yeah.
they're easier to talk to than most people.
Mhm. They get it.
They get
I'm
it,
sure. Yeah. When you're talking about coming home, what was it like to see your parents or your family whenever you came home?
During the service, it was rush. We used to come home fairly often, once or twice, sometimes more than that a year.
Yeah.
But you would come home for 4 or 5 days, and you got to you got to go see your family, you got to go see your friends, and you run out
You're
of
busy.
time when you come back and for 4 days. But
Yeah. And then when you came home after you retired, was it like, oh, I'm finally home?
finally free, yeah.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Is that what it felt like?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have children?
Yeah.
You do? Now, if your kids ever came to you and said that they wanted to join the military, what would your reaction be?
I've always told everybody that if you join for something that you'll enjoy doing.
Okay.
If you're just going to join for 4 years, if it's something you're going to enjoy doing, go enjoy that for 4 years. But if it's something, like for me, the knowing that I wanted to do finance, join for something that you'll get, that you'll enjoy in the service, but you can carry out after the service as well.
Do you have daughters?
Yes.
What would you say to your daughter? I feel like sometimes for little boys it is more acceptable or more
Yeah.
understanding because big tough men go out.
Play G.I. Joe as a kid.
Right, exactly. And girls, you obviously want to serve your country, and it's now becoming more common that we see females in the military, which is amazing. But I still think that there would be like a hesitation. Like I have a daughter, and I would be fully supportive if I had a son who would say, "Yes, go, please." But my daughter, I would feel hesitant. How would you feel?
I would support, yeah.
Okay, good.
Just like
I love
any
that.
job, though. I mean, any job, civilian life or military life, it's got its own dangers to it.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you're doing.
Exactly.
Maybe the military side's a little bit more increased, but it also
Yeah.
kind of really depends on what they're doing. So.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Are your kids just so proud of you?
I think so.
I hope so.
They're 30 and 26. I'm just old.
30?
Yes,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Nice. Do they all live here locally?
No, my daughter, she is a physical therapist that lives down in Columbus.
All right.
And then my son still lives around here.
And is he in the military?
No.
No, he's not. Oh, okay.
No. He, when he was in high school, I approached him about it and told him that, when you reach junior, senior year, you really need to start focusing on, okay, what do I want to do when I graduate? Start focusing on what your next step is after high school. And I told him that's his decision. It's all up to him. And he kind of just said, well, I think I spent enough time in the military that I don't want to join. And it made sense. I mean, he had spent, he was born in a military hospital, and he spent his first 16 years around the Marine Corps. So he's seen enough of it, understood a lot of it, and me probably deploying and being gone from time to time was probably a deciding factor in it too. But.
Yeah, you understand, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yep.
How do you think that you changed whenever you were that 18-year-old boy that left? And when you were in the military at first, it's kind of a twofold question. When you were 18 and you went in, how do you think it changed you? And then when you came back, how do you think it changed you as an adult?
It made me grow up really fast, which I don't have that was great to be able to mature a lot faster, grow up a lot faster. and then see different cultures as well was kind of shocking. I tell everybody a story about when I was 18 years old in Okinawa, Japan, and I went out to eat to a restaurant and they had sushi, and it was probably the best sushi in the world, but I was 18 and from Tuscarawas County, Ohio. So
Right, you're like, you have no idea.
no, we're not doing sushi, and now I love sushi, so I would like to go back and try that sushi. But
Yeah.
so you get to experience a lot of different things and a lot of different cultures. So
How do you think that it has changed you as like a day-to-day person, the military? Did it affect you in a good way or a bad way?
I'm probably short-tempered from time to time.
Yeah.
I
think you'll see that
it's-
with most veterans.
Yeah.
They get the,
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of PTSD, or anger issues or whatever you want to call it, but short-tempered to. It's just a kind of a mood thing. It's not always short-tempered. I think that doing 20 years and knowing that I'm retired now, if I want to be retired, I'm retired. So I get a retirement check every month from the government. So it also lets me, I think, relax a little bit more at the age of 48. So
Wow, okay. Yeah, I mean, you're retired military at 48.
I retired at 38. So
That's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
If you were given the opportunity to do it all over again, would you do it?
yes,
100%.
Yeah.
No doubt.
yeah, no
That's
doubt.
amazing. I love that. And if you were talking to future generations to come, like your grandkids, what would you tell them about your time in the service?
Well, it's like it's if you choose the right job and enjoy the job, it's like any other job. But you get to travel, and that can be a negative thing or a positive thing of traveling. So, enjoy what you do and go do it and have fun while you're doing it.
And then last thing, what do you wish that more people knew about veterans?
Oh, that's a good question. That not all of them served in combat, but all of them chose to join the military. Maybe not some of them that were voluntold and into the draft, but everybody that wasn't drafted chose to put their life on the line to serve their country, either because they're patriotic or they love their country or just wanted to serve.
Do you wish that there was more education on veterans in not necessarily our schools, but just in general for just the day-to-day person?
I think there should be more of it in the schools. I think that in high school, everybody's driven towards the academia of hey, everybody goes to college, everybody goes to college, everybody goes to college, and it's not always that way.
Yeah.
And nobody ever teaches the other side of it. And with in this area, you have Buckeye JVS that teaches you vocational skills, and then you have the high schools that force you, maybe not force you, but guide you towards college. But when I was a recruiter, I used to go teach a class. The schools would let you in, and as long as you had a teacher that wanted you to come and talk to their class, kind of wanted a day off.
Yeah.
You could go and talk to their class, and I used to do an example on the board of why you want to join or why you want to go to college, why you want to join the workforce, and why would you join the military. And once you kind of put it on the board and you see the pros and cons of everything, they're all the same. Some people want to go to college, but they don't want to leave home. Other people want to join or want to go to college to leave home. So the same way with military and same way with the job field. You'll see the pros and cons are pretty much the same with all three directions that you can kind of go in.
Right. Do you miss it?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
What do you
The
miss
military has a lot of camaraderie, and I think that's kind of why I have so many military friends around here. I didn't necessarily serve with them, but they still have the same lingo. We have the same lingo. We've seen things and done things that are similar. Even if we didn't serve at the same time or at the same location, it's really a brotherhood or a sisterhood of camaraderie that's probably the biggest thing that I miss.
talking to, again, different veterans, when they came home, some of them didn't feel appreciated. Did you feel appreciated when you came home?
I think that as you're getting out and you go through what they call a transition assistance program, not everybody does that in the military, but as you're getting out, they're starting to prepare you for for the civilian world, and what they always talk about is, well, you'll get this benefit because you'll have military service, or employers are going to want you because you have military service. That's not necessarily true, and I think that you kind of just get hyped up as you're getting out that, hey, you can go do this, and people are going to want you, because in the military, as you progress through ranks, the more and more people you're responsible for. It's not uncommon for a 20-year-old to be in charge of 18 to 20 people, if not more than that. And you get out and you say, oh, okay, I can go be a supervisor someplace, and nobody wants to hire a 21-year-old as a supervisor anywhere. So,
right.
But I think the military kind of makes you think that that's where it's going to be easy.
Okay.
It's not as easy in the civilian world as it should be when you get out. But.
Right. So let's talk about your job now, what you do. You work at the Veterans Service Office. I want to make sure I said that right.
Yes.
What do you do over there?
Veteran Service Office, it's not the VA, but we help veterans get through the VA process.
Okay.
Anytime you're working with the VA, there's just so many different forms. It's the government. There's lots of forms and form numbers to fill out and complete in order to do different things. So individuals that were injured in the service that still have that injury today can apply for VA disability pay, or VA disability compensation. So that's a claims process where we help the veteran do the paperwork. We submit it to the VA, and we kind of walk them through the process of what's going to happen from the time we complete the form until the time that the VA makes a decision on it.
Okay.
And then we also help veterans with low income apply for VA pension. We help widows apply for VA pension, burial benefits, and stuff like that.
Okay. So if anyone needs any questions answered, they can call you and
Yes.
bother you?
Yes, that's what we're there for.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, I just want to say thank you for coming today. Thank you for your service. I hope that you feel appreciated, because coming from a family with a lot of veterans, it has meant a lot to me to talk to all of those who have served. So
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah,
your
thank you.
service.
Thank-
Yes. Thank you. Now we're done.